Insidious Chapter 3 is the prequel to the very first Insidious movie, which is a ghost horror movie. This movie follows a family in an apartment complex that recently just lost their mother. The girl grieving, she ends up trying to communicate with her mother on the other side, and when things don't go as planned, she ends up reaching out to the psychic lady, the old lady from the very first Insidious movie. In this movie, the old lady, the psychic, she is grieving because her husband recently passed away and she never got to say goodbye. And she's not really using her psychic powers anymore because every time she does, the lady in black from the first movie is after her, which adds some lore to the whole Insidious franchise by basically saying that once she ended up blocking the memories of the little boy from the first movie, the dad, that lady in black actually ends up haunting her. So I thought that was pretty cool. Well, reluctant to help the new girl with her problems, she tells her that she doesn't do readings anymore, but she can sense something is wrong and decides to do a little reading. Upon realizing, yes, something is wrong, and then she tells the girl, look, whatever you do, don't try to communicate with your mom because when you do that, you could be letting something else in. Which unfortunately was already too late, and she was already kind of being followed by this demon. Well, one night, the girl, she ends up getting hit by a car and dies, nearly dies. And when she nearly dies, the demon that was following her takes half of her spirit. Now the girl is in a wheelchair, both of her legs are broken, and she starts noticing weird things are happening. And at this time, the psychic lady, who's not even a part of this case, she's starting to actually have visions and realizes, hey, I gotta step up and help this girl that came to me because something's definitely wrong. So, upon further investigation, the psychic lady realizes that there's this demon that lives in this apartment complex, and he actually took half of the girl's soul when she nearly died. And the rest of the movie is just them trying to get this girl's half soul back, and also they introduce the lady in black, and then they try to make it seem like she's been dealing with this lady in black ever since she helped the dad from the first movie. And it's just one way to entangle all the Insidious movies together. So, my review of Insidious Chapter 3. First off, I don't think I've ever seen a franchise super regret killing off a character like they did the old psychic lady in the first movie. Because the second movie, they bring her back as a ghost, and then the third movie is basically her origin story. So the third movie is all about the old psychic lady that died in the first one. And this point is made more abundantly clear when you watch The Last Key, because, spoilers, even though this ain't the Last Key review, it's all about her again. Ah! So enough of that. So this movie, the story wasn't as good as the first two, but I felt like it was maybe a little darker. And with that, I did end up getting hit by a jump scare, which honestly doesn't happen too often. So there's that going for it. So my rating of Insidious Chapter 3 would just be a solid 5 out of 10. The first two were very good. The third one wasn't as good, and it was a prequel in a sense, and I'm not a big fan of that. Like, the third movie's before the first, and it's like, oh. But nonetheless, it wasn't bad, and it's definitely worth a watch. It had some pretty good jump scares, and then, like I said, it was a little darker, I felt.